There are moments in life when love does not arrive as noise, but as revelation. You have known passion, you have known attachment, you have known longing dressed as destiny. But what is approaching you now is different. It carries a lighter energy, yet a deeper gravity. It is the kind of love that feels unfamiliar, not because it is unstable, but because it is pure. You have grown through heartbreak. You have walked through disappointment and called it maturity. You have learned to protect your heart with logic, to measure affection with caution, to weigh promises against patterns. And because of this, you believe you understand love. But the soul often sends what the ego does not expect. A younger person is about to enter your life, not merely younger in age, but younger in spirit. They will look at you without the filters you have placed on yourself. Where you see flaws shaped by time, they will see depth. Where you see scars, they will see stories. Where you have judged yourself for not being enough, they will feel grateful that you exist exactly as you are. This love will not chase you in chaos. It will not manipulate you with intensity. Instead, it will disarm you with sincerity. You are used to being the wise one, the grounded one, the emotionally aware one. Yet this person will surprise you. Their youth will not be immaturity, it will be openness. They will love without rehearsing fear. They will express without calculating loss. And that is what will unsettle you. Because you have been conditioned to believe that love must be complicated to be real. You have mistaken turbulence for chemistry. You have confused anxiety for attraction. But this connection will feel calm, and your mind may question it. You will search for hidden motives, waiting for inconsistency. Yet what you will find is steadiness. This person is not coming to complete you. They are coming to remind you of the parts of yourself that you buried beneath responsibility and resilience. Their laughter will awaken something playful in you. Their admiration will soften the armor you built in silence. Their affection will not demand that you shrink or perform. They will not compete with your past. They will honor it. You may resist at first. The age difference may challenge your logic. The dynamic may feel reversed. But love does not obey timelines. It obeys resonance. And the resonance between you will feel ancient, like recognition beyond circumstance. This is not about ego validation. It is not about proving your worth. It is about experiencing a form of devotion that does not train you. A love that feels like expansion rather than survival. You have already done the inner work. You have faced your shadows. You have questioned your patterns. Now something softer approaches not to test you, but to receive you. And the real question is not whether they will love you. It is whether you will allow yourself to be loved in a way you have never experienced before. Love does not arrive the same way once you have grown. It does not knock with the same urgency, nor does it demand the same sacrifices. After growth, love changes its language. In the past, you may have been drawn to intensity, to sparks that felt like fate, to connections that consumed your thoughts and stirred your fears. There was a certain addiction to uncertainty, a belief that if something felt overwhelming, it must be profound. But growth rearranges your perception. It recalibrates your nervous system. It teaches you that chaos is not chemistry and that longing is not always love. When you have done the inner work, you no longer chase what runs from you. You no longer romanticize what confuses you. Instead, you begin to notice how your body responds to someone else's presence. You become aware of whether you feel safe or anxious, expanded or diminished. Growth sharpens your intuition. It strips away fantasy and replaces it with discernment. And because of this, love approaches you differently. It approaches with steadiness rather than spectacle. You may find yourself surprised by what attracts you now. The dramatic personalities that once seemed magnetic might now feel exhausting. The unpredictability that once felt thrilling might now feel immature. This is not because you have become cold. It is because you have become clear. Clarity changes desire. You begin to value consistency over charisma, emotional availability over mystery, depth over performance. You no longer want to decode someone as feelings. You want to experience them honestly. After growth, love does not feel like a test. It feels like alignment. It does not require you to abandon yourself to keep it. Instead, it encourages you to remain rooted in who you are. You are no longer willing to shrink to be chosen or to overextend to be valued. You understand that love should meet you, not exhaust you. This awareness shifts the kind of energy you attract. You start to resonate with people who are also conscious, who are also reflective, who are also seeking something real rather than reactive. There is also a softness that develops after growth. Not naivety, but openness. You become less interested in proving your worth and more interested in sharing your truth. You communicate more directly. You express your needs without apology. And paradoxically, this vulnerability does not push the right people away, it draws them closer. Because mature love is not frightened by honesty, it is built upon it. What once would have captivated you may now simply pass by unnoticed. And what once you would have overlooked might suddenly feel deeply compelling. Growth changes your emotional standards. You no longer equate butterflies with compatibility. You recognize that peace can be powerful. You discover that being understood is more intoxicating than being desired. Love after growth is quieter, but it is stronger. It does not rush, yet it moves with intention. It does not overwhelm, yet it transforms. It meets you where you are not where you used to be. And because you are no longer operating from wounds, you are finally capable of receiving a love that does not mirror your past pain, but reflects your present evolution. Youth is often misunderstood. It is mistaken for recklessness, impulsivity, or emotional instability. But youth, in its purest form, is not immaturity, it's openness. It is the willingness to feel without pre-calculating the outcome. It is the courage to express affection without rehearsing rejection. While experience teaches caution, youth carries the rare gift of emotional transparency. And sometimes that transparency is more evolved than guarded wisdom. When someone younger enters your life, you may assume they lack the depth you have earned through struggle. You may believe that time alone produces understanding, but emotional awareness is not always measured in years. Some souls learn quickly. Some hearts remain soft despite hardship. Youth in this sense represents a spirit that has not allowed disappointment to harden it. It is a heart that still believes connection is possible without manipulation, that love can be spoken without fear of losing power. Openness means they are not performing for you. They are not playing strategic games or hiding their interests behind pride. They say what they feel because they feel it. They show affection because it arises naturally, not because it serves an agenda. To someone accustomed to guarded dynamics, this can feel disarming. You may search for hidden motives simply because you are used to complexity. But sometimes sincerity is exactly what it appears to be. Youthful openness also brings curiosity. A younger person may approach you with genuine fascination, not as conquest, but as admiration. They are not threatened by your experience, they are intrigued by it. Where others may have competed with your independence or strength, they may celebrate it. This creates a different dynamic, one that feels less like a power struggle and more like mutual discovery. There is also flexibility in youth, a readiness to grow, to adapt, to explore new emotional landscapes. While older hearts can become rigid from past wounds, younger energy can be fluid. It does not cling to outdated narratives. It is willing to build something new rather than repeat what has already failed. This does not mean there will be no mistakes, but the difference lies in intention. Immaturity avoids accountability. Openness embraces learning. You may initially interpret their enthusiasm as naivete. Their consistency might seem too simple. Their directness might feel almost unfamiliar. But simplicity is not shallowness. In fact, it often requires more courage to love plainly than to hide behind detachment. Youthful openness is not about lacking awareness of pain. It is about refusing to let pain define future possibilities. Being loved by someone who embodies this openness can awaken something dormant within you. It can remind you of who you were before disappointment taught you to overthink every emotion. Their presence may soften the defenses you believed were necessary, not because they demand it, but because their authenticity makes defensiveness unnecessary. Youth does not automatically equal immaturity. Sometimes it represents a soul unburdened by cynicism, a heart brave enough to feel fully, an energy that approaches love not as a battlefield, but as a space of connection. And in that openness, you may find a depth you did not expect, one that meets you not with chaos, but with clarity and courage. Calm love can feel unsettling, especially to a heart that has learned to associate intensity with meaning. When you have been conditioned to equate passion with unpredictability, silence with distance, and anxiety with attraction, peace can feel unfamiliar. Your nervous system may not immediately recognize steadiness as safe. It may interpret it as boredom or lack of depth. This is not because calm love is empty, but because chaos once trained you to believe that emotional turbulence was proof of connection. In the past, you may have felt drawn to what kept you guessing. The delayed replies, the mixed signals, the emotional highs followed by sudden withdrawals. Those patterns created adrenaline. They stimulated longing. They activated the part of you that wanted to prove your worth. And somewhere along the way, you internalized the idea that if someone made you feel anxious, it meant they mattered. But anxiety is not intimacy. It is simply activation without security. When calm love enters your life, it does not spike your fear of loss, does not leave you decoding conversations or replaying interactions in your mind. Instead, it communicates clearly, it shows up when it says it will, it expresses affection without withholding it, and because there is no dramatic rise and fall, your mind may struggle to interpret it. You may find yourself searching for problems that do not exist. You may question whether something so stable can truly be profound. Calm love does not rush to declare forever, yet it does not hesitate to be present. It unfolds steadily, without pressure or performance. There are no emotional games to win, no power struggles to navigate. For someone accustomed to earning affection through effort or endurance, this can feel disorienting. You may wonder where the challenge is. You may unconsciously miss the chase, not because you want dysfunction, but because it is familiar territory. The unsettling feeling often comes from the contrast. Calm love does not demand you to fight for your place. It does not test your loyalty through silence. It does not provoke jealousy to measure desire. Instead, it offers reassurance. It listens. It respects boundaries. It allows space without threatening abandonment. And in that space, you are left alone with your own defenses. Without chaos to distract you, you must confront your discomfort with being genuinely cared for. There is a vulnerability in peace. When someone loves you calmly, they see you without dramatics. They choose you without crisis. That kind of devotion requires you to lower your guard. It asks you to trust, not because you are forced to, but because there is no evidence of harm. And trusting without fear can feel more exposed than guarding against pain. Calm love is not the absence of passion. It is passion grounded in stability. It is desire without possession. It is depth without destruction. Over time, what once felt unsettling begins to feel sacred. The quiet consistency becomes reassuring rather than suspicious. The absence of drama becomes freedom rather than emptiness. And you begin to understand that the most powerful connections are not the ones that shake your world violently, but the ones that steady it gently. They see your depth, not your insecurities, and that alone can feel almost unreal. You have spent years becoming aware of your flaws. You have examined your patterns, criticized your reactions, replayed your mistakes in quiet moments of reflection. You know where you overthink. You know where you once tolerated less than you deserved. You know the parts of yourself that still carry doubt. Because of this awareness, you assume that anyone who looks closely enough will eventually see the same cracks you see. But they do look closely, and what they find is not weakness. Where you see oversensitivity, they see emotional intelligence. Where you see guardedness, they see discernment shaped by experience. Where you see the weight of your past, they see resilience. They do not deny that you have scars, they simply interpret them differently. To them, your history is not damage. It is evidence that you have survived, learned, and remained open despite disappointment. This can be disarming. You may test them without realizing it. You may reveal small insecurities in subtle ways, waiting to see if their perception shifts. You might speak critically about yourself, expecting agreement or polite silence. Instead, they respond with confusion, almost as if they cannot locate the flaw you are describing. It is not that they are blind. It is that they are not looking through the lens of your self-judgment. Often, your insecurities were born from moments where you felt unseen or undervalued. Perhaps someone once made you feel too much or not enough. Perhaps love was offered conditionally, and you internalized those conditions as truth. Over time, you began to preempt rejection by rejecting parts of yourself first. It felt safer to point out your own shortcomings before someone else could. This person does not engage with you on that level. They are not scanning for deficiencies. They are experiencing your presence. They notice the way you think deeply before you speak. They admire your self-awareness. They feel safe in your honesty. What you interpret as emotional complexity, they experience as richness. What you label as baggage, they recognize as wisdom. Their perspective does not erase your insecurities instantly, but it challenges them. It introduces an alternative narrative, one where you are not defined by your fears. Being seen in this way can feel more intimate than being desired. Desire can focus on surface traits, on attraction, on temporary chemistry. But to be seen for your depth is to be understood beyond performance. It means they value your mind, your growth, your introspection. They are drawn not just to how you look or what you offer, but to who you are when you are unguarded. Over time, their consistent perception begins to soften your inner critic. You may start questioning whether the harsh voice in your head has been accurate. You may experiment with speaking about yourself more gently. Their vision of you becomes a mirror you slowly learn to trust. And in that reflection, you begin to realize that your depth was never the problem. It was always the gift waiting for someone capable of recognizing it. This connection awakens forgotten parts of you, not through force, but through presence. There are aspects of yourself that slowly went quiet over the years, not because they disappeared, but because life demanded seriousness. Responsibility replaced spontaneity. Survival replaced softness. You became practical, composed, measured. You learned how to anticipate disappointment and prepare for it. In doing so, you protected yourself, but you also tucked away pieces of your natural light. When someone enters your life with genuine openness, something subtle begins to shift. You find yourself laughing more freely, not because you are trying to impress them, but because their energy invites ease. Conversations stretch longer than expected, not out of obligation, but out of curiosity. You notice a playfulness in your tone that you have not heard in years. It feels unfamiliar at first, almost vulnerable, yet it feels authentic. This awakening is not dramatic. It does not arrive as a sudden transformation. It reveals itself in small moments. The way you feel excited to share a thought, the way you catch yourself smiling at nothing in particular, the way you allow silence to exist without rushing to fill it. These subtle changes signal that something inside you is thawing. The guarded parts are loosening. The version of you that once believed in effortless connection is resurfacing. Often, forgotten parts are buried beneath disappointment. After being misunderstood or undervalued, you may have decided to present only the most stable, controlled version of yourself. You became the strong one, the rational one, the one who does not expect too much. But strength without softness becomes isolation. This connection gently challenges that balance. It reminds you that you are allowed to feel deeply without being destabilized. You may rediscover creativity you set aside, interests you once loved but stopped prioritizing, dreams you dismissed as unrealistic. Being around someone who sees possibility rather than limitation can reignite your own imagination. Their belief in you may feel disproportionate at first, as if they are seeing potential you cannot yet confirm. But their confidence acts as permission to expand beyond the identity you built from necessity. There is also a childlike quality that reemerges, not immaturity, but wonder. You may find yourself curious again about them, about life, about what could be built together. Instead of calculating risk, you begin to explore connection with cautious optimism. The fear that once dominated your emotional decisions no longer dictates every response. You are not reckless, you are receptive. This awakening can be both beautiful and unsettling. When dormant parts of you come alive, you must reconcile who you have been with who you are becoming. You realize that you were never meant to exist solely in survival mode. You were meant to experience joy, admiration, mutual growth. The connection does not create these qualities within you, it reveals them. It acts as a catalyst, illuminating dimensions of your personality that were waiting for the right environment to emerge. And as those forgotten parts return, you begin to feel more whole, not because someone completed you, but because their presence helped you remember yourself. The real challenge is not finding love, it is receiving it. Many people believe their struggle lies in attracting the right person, in being seen, chosen, desired. But when genuine love finally stands in front of them, steady, intentional, sincere, they discover that acceptance is far more confronting than pursuit. To receive love requires openness without defense. It requires trust without guarantees. It requires the willingness to believe that you are worthy without constantly proving it. For a long time, you may have functioned in survival mode within relationships. You learned how to earn affection through effort. You learned how to anticipate withdrawal and adjust yourself accordingly. You became skilled at reading emotional shifts at overgiving to maintain connection, at minimizing your needs to avoid rejection. In that dynamic, you were active. You were doing. You were managing love. Receiving, however, asks you to stop managing. When someone offers you consistent care, reassurance, and clarity, your instinct may not be immediate relief. It may be suspicion. You may wonder what they want in return. You may question how long it will last. You may even feel undeserving of the ease. This reaction does not mean you are incapable of love. It means you are unfamiliar with unconditional presence. If love once felt unpredictable, then stability can feel foreign. Receiving love also requires vulnerability. It means allowing someone to see your unfiltered emotions without preemptively apologizing for them. It means expressing needs without cushioning them in self-doubt. It means admitting when you are afraid, instead of pretending you are unaffected. Many people find it easier to be the strong one, the supportive one, the giver. Giving feels controlled. Receiving feels exposed. There is also the quiet fear of loss. When you truly accept love, you acknowledge that it matters. And when something matters, the possibility of losing it becomes real. Some hearts protect themselves by never fully letting love in. They keep one foot outside the door, just in case. But partial presence creates partial connection. To experience depth, you must risk attachment. Receiving love challenges your self-concept. If you have internalized beliefs that you are too complicated, too flawed, too much or not enough, genuine devotion disrupts those narratives. When someone chooses you without hesitation, your old stories lose credibility. But releasing those stories can feel destabilizing. They may have been painful, but they were familiar. Letting them go means redefining how you see yourself. True reception is not passive. It is active openness. It is saying yes to kindness without shrinking. It is accepting compliments without deflecting them. It is trusting consistency instead of searching for cracks. It is allowing yourself to rest in someone as affection without feeling the need to repay it immediately. The real challenge is surrendering control. Not control over the other person, but control over the emotional armor you have worn for years. Love asks you to soften where you once braced, to believe where you once doubted, to receive without suspicion. And in that surrender, you discover that being loved fully is not about effort, is about allowing yourself to be held without resistance. So when this love stands before you steady, open, unafraid, do not measure it by the standards of your past. Do not compare its calm to the chaos you once survived. Do not mistake peace for a lack of passion. This is not the kind of love that arrives to shake you awake through pain. It arrives to meet you in clarity. You have already done the breaking and the rebuilding. You have already faced the lessons that forced you to grow. What is coming now does not seek to challenge your worth, it seeks to honor it. And the final transformation is not in being chosen by someone younger, brighter, or unexpectedly sincere. It is in choosing to open your hands instead of guarding your heart. Let yourself be seen without shrinking. Let yourself be loved without suspicion. Let yourself experience devotion without preparing for disaster. Because sometimes the most extraordinary love does not enter your life to test your strength, but to reward your evolution. And when you finally allow it in, you will realize this was never about age, timing, or coincidence. It was about readiness.